ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ጥራት ባለው ስልጠና ልዩነት መፍጠር ዋናው ዓላማው ነው። ከከፍተኛ ትምህርት አግባብነትና ጥራት ኤጀንሲ ሙሉ ዕውቅና ባገኘንባቸው በማስተርስ ፕሮግራም ኤምቢኤ በስትራቴጂክ ማኔጅመንት፣ ኤምቢኤ በቢዝነስ ሊደርሺፕ፣ ኤምቢኤ በሪስክና ኢንሹራንስ፣ ኤምቢኤ በባንኪንግና ፋይናንስ፣ ኤምኤስሲ በኢንተርናሽናል ትሬድና ኢኮኖሚክስ፣ ኤምኤ በሆስፒታሊቲ ማኔጅመንት፣ ኤምኤ በሎጂስቲክስና ሰፕላይ ቼን ማኔጅመንት፣ ኤምኤስሲ በአቪዬሽን ማኔጅመንት ተማሪዎቻችን በልዩነት ይማራሉ። በኬንያ ሀገር ከሚገኙ ስመጥር ዩኒቨርሲቲዎች በመጡ ፕሮፌሰሮች ስልጠናው ይሰጣል። ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ በዲግሪ ፕሮግራም በአቪዬሽን ማኔጅመንት፣ በአካውንቲንግና ፋይናንስ፣ በማርኬቲንግ ማኔጅመንት፣ በሆቴል ማኔጅመንት በምዝገባ ላይ ነን። በአጫጭር ኮርሶችም በፍላይት ኦፕሬሽን፣ በቲኬቲንግና ሪዘርቬሽን፣ በሆስቴስ፣ በሆስፒታሊቲ ማኔጅመንት እናሰለጥናለን። አድራሻ ከ22 አደባባይ ወደ ሾላ በሚወስደው መንገድ ላይ ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ህልሞን እውን ያደርጋል።
So our today's class will be related to event. The second chapter is about event. So in general, we will see the type of event, how the event is conducted. So in general, event catering is majorly, it's a term which is used to the service of special event for a specific group of people at a preset time and with the food and beverage which is provided being predetermined. So in the case of event, we need to understand or we need to know two things. The first one, event catering is majorly for performed or delivered for a specific group of people, which is at a predetermined or at a preset time. At the same time, the food and beverage which is served on that specific event is also predetermined or presetted. So basically, we are delivered for a specific group of people. So in the case of event, it includes different occasions such as luncheon party, it might be conference, cocktail party, wedding and dinner and dances. So that event has different types, or depending on the time, depending on the number, depending on the occasions, there are different. As I mentioned, there are luncheon party, there are conference and other. And in large establishment or in large hotels, which is like 5-star or 4-star hotels, all functions are delivered or taken place within banqueting suite. It has its own specific location. They have their own specific venues, different venues with a different carrying capacity. And also, they are under the administrative control of Banquet Manager, in which in large establishment. Because there might be a high demand for conference, wedding, different parties. In order to accommodate that, we need to have its own specific manager, because the food and beverage manager has its own job, other job, rather than the function catering or the event. And also, they need to establish or they need to prepare different halls, which different seminars, weddings, and other events which might take place. At the same time, there might be different events. So that in order to accommodate those events, we need to have different halls. So in large establishment, we have our own banqueting suite, and also we have a banqueting team, or what we call it, a banqueting manager. So in the reverse, in smaller operation or in small hotels like less than 3-star hotels, the events are taken place in room set aside for the purpose. For example, some hotels, they might adjust their restaurant as a meeting hall. Some of them, they might move their suite rooms into a conference room in smaller operation. And also, it comes under the jurisdiction of the manager or assistant manager. It is done by the assistant manager. It has no what? Banquet manager. Because if you are hiring a banquet manager, it will be a cost because we may not have lots of events, lots of meetings, lots of wedding in smaller hotels. So that the assistant manager and the food and beverage manager can take this additional task. So there are also specialist banquet conference center, and most of the staffs available for the events are employed in a casual basis. Most of the staff are employed in a casual, or sometimes we call them banquet staff or casual. They are not permanent staff. So at busy periods, there may be a number of events running at the same time. So in order to accommodate those demands, or in order to cover those services, basically we need to hire a banquet staff because our permanent staff may not be sufficient enough to deliver the service for those all various meetings or weddings and other kinds of events. And the other one, this is, as you can see, it's example of room laid for the function in the Hilton Hotel, which is found in England. So the setup, the lighting, the theme, all things has its own implication. So events are popular as ever, but as I said, the purpose and the style of events are changing. For example, there are events for the purpose of wedding. At the same time, there are events for the purpose of funeral. There are events for the purpose of conference. There are events for the purpose of different things. And also, the style of the event by itself are changing. For example, time evening are become increasingly popular. And there is also a trend toward less formality. Guests have higher expectation. In the case of event, the guests will have higher expectation with the overall standard, with the standard of the decor, which is seated inside the room, inside the event room, the lighting effect, the tableware which we use. When we say tableware, it includes what? The crockery, the plates which we use, the silverware like spoon, glass, fork and knife, tablecloths, napkins, and also high standard of food and beverage, comfort. They expect all those things. They will need what? They seek value for money because as budgets are more fixed. When you are paying for one dish or for one plate, like $60, which is like 1,400 or 500, you will expect lots of things. As I said, not only related to the food and beverage, but also the decor, the furniture, the fixture, the lighting system, the service by itself. So that we need to give much more emphasis on the service delivery of event. And basically, there are two types of event, basically, but there are further classifications. The first one, formal meal, or what we called it, banquet. In the banquet, basically, there is luncheon, dinner, and wedding breakfast. In the case of luncheon, for example, there might be wedding, but they design to have in the lunchtime. They design to do in the lunchtime. So that it's called luncheon. And there are events which is performed in the evening time, which is dinner. And also there is a wedding breakfast. In the morning time, people might do a wedding breakfast. They make their celebration in the morning time as a breakfast. So that this is a formal meal called banquet. And sometimes we need to lay down all the necessary equipment, the glass, silverware, the tablecloth, and everything. The second one is buffet reception. In the buffet reception, there might be cocktail party, wedding reception. In this case, there may not be what? For example, plate. Rather, finger food items might be delivered. The service might be butler. The waiter will handle a service tray and they might put different kinds of beverage and food items, so they will move around the customers so you can pick from the platter. Anniversary parties. Those are buffet receptions. That one is more formal one, the first one. And there are further breakdowns on the type of event. For example, there is social event based on the occasion. In the case of social event, as we said, all the above which we mentioned might be included in here, but what makes it different is the purpose. It's social gathering. It might be dinner, it might be lunch, it might be reception, it might be party, and it might be a charity party. The purpose might be for the charity. So that this kind of classification is called social. The second one, public relation. In order to, this is mainly for the business purpose. In order to make a communication with other business. For example, press party to launch a new product. This is a PR. The fashion product, in order to promote one specific fashion or to show different clothes. Exhibitions and seminars which are events, but they are included under public relation. They are not social. Rather, they are public relation. The other one, conferences. Conferences, they might be political. As you all know, currently, most of the time, there is conferences, but most of them are political. Trade union, trade seminars, sales conference, academic conference might be done. For example, in order to allow the registration or to start the classes of this year, there was academic conference yesterday or the day before that in the hotel. That's academic conference. And in the before 2 weeks or something, there is a political conference in Beverage with the ambassadors. This is political. And there might be others like trade union, trade seminar, and others. So we can classify furtherly like this. And the other one, event staff roles, event service. As I mentioned earlier, in large establishment, there is generally small number of permanent staff who are dealing mainly or specifically with event, like sales manager, banquet manager, assistant manager, head waiter, service staff, technical staff, and porter, together with an administration office. Those are the main staff which is found in large establishment, 4 and 5 star hotels for the event. What are their duties? What are their responsibilities? We will see in detail. But in a smaller establishment, we have fewer events, so that the manager or the food and beverage manager can take the administrative and the organizational work as part of their regular duty. We will not recruit, we will not hire other person. The food and beverage manager by itself, he can take care of the event. Why? Because we only have a fewer events due to our capacity. So what's the role of sales manager? Basically, the sales manager is responsible to promote the event facility of the establishment. Sometimes they have to make the initial approach and contact, so that every time as a salesperson, as a sales manager, in order to promote our event facility establishment to customers or to prospective clients, we need to have extensive knowledge of room specification, because each room has its own specification. For example, if some group, they need to conduct a meeting for 5 days, basically they might need room. But we have different types of room. We have standard room, we might have lake view, we might have suite and others. So we need to know in details related to those rooms. And also, if you have also a hall, banquet hall, we have different sizes. We need to know each halls with their carrying capacity, the type of lighting, the electric point, the output, the IT capability, the height, the width, the maximum floor loads. We need to know in details. Once we know this, it will enable us to respond quickly if the guest raise any query when we are meeting with the client. So the guest will be confident depending on our response. So that most establishments offer various forms of banquet or meeting and conference sales package. So that this provide a range of information about the facilities available and the charges for them. What facilities are available in each package? For this package, it has conference, we provide Wi-Fi, we provide tea break and something, and we will charge this. For this package, it has accommodation, 2-time refreshment and lunch and pen, notepad and something. With this, it has this charge. This is the main duty of the sales manager. The second, banquet. The banquet manager is mainly responsible for all administration, including meeting prospective clients and discuss related to all the arrangement. The banquet manager is the one who discuss with related to the menu, what type of menu which they need, related to the table plan, related to the cost, what kind of wine should have to be presented on that day, the toastmaster, the band, the time of the event, related to the payment. The banquet manager is the one who is responsible. Once they finished discussing with the client, they need to communicate with all departments concerning the date of the event, the number of expected guests, and any other details to particular department. Why? Because every department should have to prepare themselves. They have to be ready. The front office should have to know related to if they have a room or not. The housekeeping should have to know if they require any further demand. The kitchen should have to know in order to prepare the food items. Is it included lunch and dinner? At what time they need that thing? How the number of person and other things. So that the banquet manager should have to distribute event sheet or banquet order to every department. So each department will be ready based on the event sheet. The event sheet include the number of person, what type of event it is, what package does it include, the starting date and the ending date, the payment method, and lots of others. The other one, administrative office. In the case of administrative office, they work with the manager and they are responsible for handling all incoming and outgoing mails. They will manage all the mails which income and outgoing, so that they ensure that information about the event is passed to all relevant internal departments. They ensure each department, the front office, the housekeeping, the food and beverage, the laundry, the marketing, and every other department reach that information and they keep recording. And those staff, they handle inquiries and they take provisional booking for events. They take tentative booking. And they ensure that each detailed informations are entered on the event booking, which I mentioned earlier, right? The event date, the number of persons, the payment method, something like that. The other, banquet or event head waiter. The banquet or event head waiter is in charge of the event room, plus the organization required to prepare the room for various events. He is the one who is responsible for every necessary requirement, specifically related to the service on that area. They have to set the room. They have to arrange in the morning, they have to set the setup of the guest. They have to prepare the tea break in the right time. They may also be responsible for booking staff on casual basis to cover various duties of an event. The other, dispense bar staff. In the case of dispense bar staff, they are responsible for the allocation of bar stock for the various events. For example, there might be a party which participated like 1,000 or 2,000 people. In that case, we need to have a dispense bar staff. He is the one who allocate a bar stock for the event. They are the one who setting up the bars, organize the bar staff, control the stock, and they are the one who collect cash during the service and stock taking after an event has taken place. So they are mainly responsible for the beverage service. They will prepare the setup, they will prepare the stock, they will deliver the service, they will collect the cash, and finally they will count down the leftover. So they will make a balance. They are also responsible for restocking the event bar. If they finished before the event, they will restock. But records has to be kept or maintained. The other, banquet or head waiter, basically the wine head waiter. In Ethiopian, we may not find this one, but what we call it familiar. The wine waiter, they work in conjunct with the dispense bar staff and mainly responsible for the organization or for organizing and employing casual staff for wine waiters. In the event, in large specific event, the wines are served with a specific person. Why? Because it requires a high skill. Anybody cannot serve wine because it has its own procedure. So the event head wine waiter, they will prepare and organize a staff who deliver a wine service. They will also allocate the wine waiter station and give them cash float if there are cash wine, or they might discuss service with them. The other one, permanent service staff. Why we need permanent service staff? Because the permanent service staff usually they are experienced. They are experienced staff that can turn their hand to any job concerning event and banqueting. It's inappropriate to give the event for casual staff because they may not give much concern as you do. So that every time, in order to supervise the casual staff, there has to be the permanent one, who are seniors. So they generally do the most of the mise en place before the event, because it's our standard. So that we shouldn't have to compromise with the standard. So they are the one who should have to lay the table. They have to supervise the casual. So when we see the casual staff, the casual are hired on a part-time basis to work at the events are needed. So the casual staff only available when we have events. For example, if you have 3 days event, we might hire for 3 days. After that, we may not need them. We have their address, so every time when we have an event, we call them who perform better. And this can be from a bank of staff establishment running themselves, or there are agencies specialized in waiting staff. The other one, porters. The other one, porters. There are generally a number of porters on permanent event staff. When we say porter, they are the one who makes the setup, who carries the table and the chairs, which they perform tasks which require a physical work. And they are the most essential member of staff, as there is often a great deal of work involved in preparing the room layout before and after the film. So that they are the most important one. So this is all about today. Starting from the next class, we will see event administration next class ጀምሮ ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ ይህንን ይመስላል ማለት ነው። የዛሬው ክላስ ብዙ ሰውም ያገባም ስለሌለ እዚህ ላይ እናበቃለን በአለም ስለሆነ ይህንን ይመስላል። Any questions? ጥያቄ ያለ ያልገባችሁ ግልጽ ያልሆነ? አብራት
አቤት አለ
ግልጽ ነው ክላስ?
ግልጽ ነው።
እሺ ያልገባችሁ ካለ መጠየቅ ትችላላችሁ። ስለዚህ ኔክስት ዊክ እንገናኛለን። መልካም በዓል።
እሺ ለአንተ መልካም በዓል።
በትምህርት ከፍ ብሎ መብረር ይቻላል። ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ከከፍተኛ ትምህርት አግባብነትና ጥራት ኤጀንሲ ሙሉ ዕውቅናን ባገኘንባቸው በማስተርስ ዲግሪ ኤምቢኤ በስትራቴጂክ ማኔጅመንት፣ ኤምቢኤ በባንኪንግ እና ፋይናንስ፣ ኤምቢኤ በቢዝነስ ሊደርሺፕ፣ ኤምቢኤ በሪስክና ኢንሹራንስ፣ ኤምኤስሲ በኢንተርናሽናል ትሬድ እና ኢኮኖሚክስ ዘርፎች በእውቀት ለመቅረጽ የበቁ ፕሮፌሰሮቻችን አረንጓዴ መብራታቸውን አብርተዋል። በነገራችን ላይ በኬንያ ሀገር ከሚገኙ ስመጥር ዩኒቨርሲቲዎች በሚመጡ ፕሮፌሰሮች የትኩረት መስክ ትምህርቶቹ መሰጠታቸው ልዩ ያደርገናል። በምርጥ የትምህርት ስርዓት የተገነባው ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ በመጀመሪያ ዲግሪ በአቪዬሽን ማኔጅመንት፣ በሆቴል ማኔጅመንት፣ በአካውንቲንግ እና ፋይናንስ፣ በማርኬቲንግ ማኔጅመንት አስተማማኝ ትምህርት ይገቢውና ራስዎንና ሀገሮን ይለውጡ። አድራሻ 22 አደባባይ ወደ ሾላ በሚወስደው መንገድ ላይ። ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ህልሞን እውን ያደርጋል።